thoughts on pre-workout? This is another really great Free Coach Friday question. So much like my thoughts on supplements, I do believe that there is a time and a place. If somebody is coming from a really nice high level of health, they're getting really good quality of sleep, they've got adequate time to train, they know how to fuel their body, adding in something like a pre-workout supplement to make their performance or their training sessions enhance, I actually think that that might not necessarily be a bad thing, particularly if they are training for an event. But like the women that I usually train, they are usually very busy corporate women or they are busy mums. I don't necessarily think adding in some kind of stimulant would be the best process or best course of action for them, particularly if they are people that maybe have a little bit of anxiety, they have depression, or they have trouble sleeping at night, because a lot of the main ingredients in a pre-workout supplement tends to be caffeine. Now that is something that most women feel like they need to prop themselves up because they're not getting enough sleep and they feel like they're not training as well. But I like to look at health from a very holistic level, and before adding in something that is a stimulant and also something that's going to cost you money, I would look at other diet and lifestyle factors that could positively influence or impact your training session. So first things first, looking at the quality of sleep that you're getting. Now, of course, this is going to look different in every phase of life. If you are a new mum or you have young children or you're working in a very stressful job, it's not feasible to say, hey, just go and get 8 hours of sleep. But I've done a whole podcast episode on that, about how you can try and get the best quality sleep within the phase of life that you're in. I'll link it in the next slide for you. Then if you're going to sleep better, you're inherently probably going to train better. You're going to have better energy. You're also going to recover better. It also means that you are more likely to make better food choices. Your food choices are also going to impact your sleep. So rather than trying to prop yourself up in a state of depletion, you're actually trying to restore, replenish, and nourish your body so that you can train and perform better. Now, contrary to what a lot of people believe, you do not need to train every single day in order to get results. If you work on your other pillars of health, namely your sleep, your food, and your nutrition, then while it's say not as convenient as taking a pre-workout supplement, in the long term, you are going to be far better off mentally and physically peeling it back to the basics and making sure that you're coming from a really, really strong base and foundation before you begin to add in those pre-workout supplements. Once you're at that really nice level where you've got all the other things sorted, adding in a pre-workout because you are competing in something in particular or you're training like for a triathlon, a marathon, something like that, pre-workouts can then become very beneficial. But most of those people have really nutted out what their balance is, and then at that point they can use a pre-workout for a particular point in time until they get to their race or their grand final or whatever it is, and then they may taper it off so that their body doesn't develop some sort of like tolerance or dependency on it, because that's another thing that can happen. So I'm always really cautious with supplementation and with things like pre-workouts because of the type of women that I work with. I really want them to have a strong foundation of their health, and that in itself is a big enough job when we're competing with all the other different life stuff. And then once you're sort of like that, then once you're at that level 2 or level 3 with your health and nutrition and your fitness and what you're working towards, then you can look at adding things like this in. It's usually more cost effective this way so that you're not essentially throwing money down the drain that isn't actually benefiting what you're trying to achieve. And also it sort of moves away from that quick fix mentality of, oh, I'll just do this because it's working in the short term, where it's going to make you feel like trash in the long term. And that's sort of the approach. I always take a really holistic approach when it comes to health. So while sometimes I feel like the process that my clients go through might feel a little bit slower than, you know, the instant quick fix response, it usually means that they keep their results in the long term because we're building really strong habits and healthy relationships with food and our body. So hopefully that answers your question, but I have DM'd you because we've had a good little chat over it and we sort of worked out the problem, and that's the benefits of personalized nutrition and personalized advice, is that there is not a one size fits all, and there definitely is a time and place for certain things. What works